to have said, quote, "My God, these fellows have done more work in one night than I could make my army do in 3 months." Isn't that a great quote?
Do you know what the size of this fort was, or this redoubt?
I don't have that information in front of me. I do not know. I'm sorry. It couldn't have been just gigantic, but it was significant enough to kind of put a scare into the British. And so finally, on March 17th, that just sealed the decision to leave. They were, again, as I mentioned, they were already pretty much planning on it, but now with that staring down on them, it's like, okay, time to leave. So less than 2 weeks later, on March 17th, this is 1776 now, 9,000 British soldiers, plus their dependents, and about 1,000 loyalists leave on 78 ships. So the British bug out of Boston, including, as I mentioned, 1,000 loyalists. These are people who had lived in Boston, or at least Massachusetts, their entire lives in most cases, in a lot of cases, or at least for a very long time, but they're going to have to leave because they stayed loyal to the crown. And so that's it. And Boston falls into the hands of Washington and the Continental Army, and Boston will stay in American hands for the rest of the war and become a very significant base for the Americans.
You really have to be impressed by how fast people in the pre-modern era can move under duress. A lot of times life doesn't move quickly, but this is one example. In a previous episode, we mentioned the First Crusade, joking about the siege of Quebec, and they march around the city 7 times like the Old Testament. The Patriots do not do that, but in the First Crusade in 1099, they actually do that around Jerusalem. Also, Godfrey of Bouillon, I think, the force he's leading the First Jerusalem, they basically build a siege tower and an all-nighter to get over the walls of Jerusalem. They have to do it in secret, so they're not hit by missiles and other medieval darts and arrows and other stuff. But same kind of thing. Under duress, it's amazing what people in the pre-modern period can build very quickly. So got to give it to those colonials. Henry Knox, good on you, and score 1 for the Patriots. All right, so that is all for this campaign. In the next battle in our series, this is Key Battle 4, we're going to be looking at the New York campaign. Okay, so that is all for today. Thank you for joining me. As always, I want to thank the Knowlton's Rangers, especially our spy masters. Tyler from Colorado, Josh Reddick, Baron Fraser, Chris from Maine, Carl from Norway, Moondoggy from Ohio, Rick Knowlton, Vic and Irene, Mike from New York, Michelle, and Marlene. I'll explain what that is in a second. If you like the show and want to help it grow, there are 4 easy ways for you to do it. 1, like and subscribe to the show on the podcast player of your choice. This helps spread the word about the show. 2, join our Facebook group. Here we can keep the discussion going about new episodes, and you can talk about what you like and didn't like. And you can find this group if you just search for History Unplugged on Facebook. 3, we have an online store with t-shirts, phone covers, and other accessories featuring awesomely bad history puns that were crowdsourced by you, the audience. And you can find that if you go to teespring.com/stores/history-unplugged. That's teespring.com/stores/history-unplugged. 4, and this is really the best way to dive deep with History Unplugged, and that's to become one of the Knowlton's Rangers. If you know your American history, you know the Knowlton's Rangers were an elite spy and reconnaissance group in the American Revolutionary War, but it's also the name of the membership program of History Unplugged. You can join at 3 levels. If you join at the level of Scout, you can hear all the episodes of History Unplugged completely ad-free and get early access to new episodes, at least a week early. If you join at the Intelligence Officer level, you get special bonus episodes, like a 10-part series on the World War II hero Audie Murphy, a multi-part series called Ottoman Lives about different people in the Ottoman Empire, and a series called Rendezvous with Death that looks at biographical profiles of Americans who went to fight in World War I before America entered the war. The last level is Spy Master, where you get all that stuff, but you also get 3 hardcover history books, Forging a President, How the Wild West Created Teddy Roosevelt, Race to the Top of the World, Richard Byrd and the First Flight to the North Pole, and The Last Fighter Pilot, the true story of the final combat mission of World War II. Another bonus is, you can choose a history topic for me to focus on for an entire episode that can go up to an hour, and I'll answer whatever question you have for me, and you get a shout out at the end of each episode. If you want to learn how to become a member of the Knowlton's Rangers, go to patreon.com/unplugged. That's patreon.com/unplugged. All right, well, that is all for my spiel. Thanks for listening to the History Unplugged podcast, from ancient Greece to the Cold War and everything else in between. See you next time.